to PC, Windows desktops, to Mac, and even Android devices. And depending on the type of ethical hacking you're doing, you can either recommend, and sometimes, if you're working for the same company, apply the fixes and improvements to secure systems and networks. Above all, ethical hacking is practical, useful, and it's hands-on. We'll actually perform the hacks, and then we'll learn how to secure against them. What we're trying to do in security is protect what we call the CIA Triad, or the Security Triad. Confidentiality. That means that we protect information from unauthorized access. That can be insiders or outsiders who just don't have the permission to access certain materials. Integrity. That means that we're trying to protect our data or our systems from unauthorized modification. And then availability. That means that we have timely access to the information by the right people. That means, an example of a loss of availability might be a denial of service attack where all the internet is shut down because of heavy traffic. A problem with integrity could be someone who's gone in and modified files, changed data in a record, or deleted log files to delete signs of hacking. And any loss of confidentiality just means that someone else can see data that they're not supposed to see. There are lots of different types of attackers. You have outsiders and insiders as threats. So outsiders can be your competitors. They can be black hat and gray hat hackers. A white hat hacker is what we're learning to be. That's someone who uses ethical tools and means to test systems. A gray hat hacker sits sort of in between. They usually state a positive purpose, but they can use some of the techniques that they shouldn't be using. That just means that they're trying something and don't have full authorization or using illegal techniques as part of their trade. And black hat, it's no holds barred. They can use any techniques, any means to get into a system. Organized crime, terrorists, foreign governments, military, law enforcement. There are lots of outsiders that might want to peek into your network or worse. Then insider threats come in the form of customers, suppliers, vendors, business partners. Think about contractors that come on your company's premises, temps, consultants, and then of course your employees. Disgruntled current employees, former employees, or even employees who don't mean to do something wrong, just human error, can be an example of an insider threat. That's why the training that we'll talk about in ethical hacking is very important. It keeps our good people from accidentally doing something bad. There are lots of good reasons not to become an attacker. You're going to learn about ethical hacking, and hacking is not necessarily a bad term. We just associate it with the bad hackers and attackers because of the media. But being an attacker is illegal in most countries. Here in the United States, U.S. Codes Title 18, Section 1030, and others contain the Computer Fraud and Computer Abuse Acts. We've got the USA Patriot Act that determines who can see what information, Homeland Security Act if there's any suspicion of terrorism, the PROTECT Act. You can go to the Department of Justice's website, cybercrime.gov, and see lots of good resources and information on what's legal and what's illegal when it comes to cybercrime. Just to give a short version, unauthorized access or use of any computer or network or system is illegal. A good example in the real world would be finding a key on the sidewalk. That's the same as finding a vulnerability, like somebody left a password in plain text out on the internet. That's a vulnerability. Finding that is not illegal. If you just see a key on the sidewalk, even sometimes if you pick the key up, it may not be illegal. But if you try that key on a door and walk into a house or walk into a business, you've committed unlawful entry. Well, it's the same spirit with all of the computer laws. When we try to exploit a vulnerability, that's like opening the door and walking into the premises. That is an unauthorized access or an unlawful entry. You didn't have to break anything. It's not breaking and entering, but it's still unlawful entry, unauthorized access. And remember that even unintentional attacks are illegal too. If you try some of the techniques that can create a network flood, for example, on a network that you don't have explicit permission to test, like a coffee shop, a library, your work, your school, if you take down the network, that is illegal as well. Even an unintentional attack can break the law. There are reasons that we study ethical hacking using the tools that actual hackers or bad attackers use. And that's because we want to evaluate the systems that we're defending just like an attacker would.